This video is brought to you by Harold Sack, who gave me a massive 1 year's worth of subscriptions on Patreon. Tetsuo versus partners Yoshimaru and Keleth. That's a pretty bad hand. Magic Online will not stop giving me one-landers recently. And again into a one-lander, not destined to do anything here, up against Patron Drug Mountain, by the way. Yeah, we'll have to keep that one. So we'll have to get rid of Blasphemous Act and seize the day there. Of course, seeing Yoshimaru on turn 1. Our opponent's kept a full grip of 7. Not managing to get into a land. We'll just have to go for Mana Crypt into the Arcane Signet. Might be that we can get our commander down next turn. We can go for the Black Blade Reforged here as well. We'll need a land to play or a Mox or something next turn. Can buy ourselves some time with the Toxic Deluge at least. Wait for our opponent to get down some stuff, some more creatures hopefully. Seeing a Blind Obedience from our opponent, so any haste is going to be null and void this game. A Commander's Plate for our opponent as well, so just being hit for 1. A Champion's Helm for us, so just throw that down and wait for our commander to hit play. Weathered Wayfarer here, it might be that our opponent's missing a land drop as well, and they are. So that means that we want them to not be drawing into lands. We want them in top deck mode, same as us. So let's go for 1 life into Toxic Deluge. It does mean that we stand to take a few hits from the Keleth, unfortunately, but yeah, we don't want them going Weathered Wayfarer. Oh, actually, that's only if an opponent controls more lands than you, isn't it? Yeah, so pull the trigger too early on the Toxic Deluge there, I think. Abiding Grace for our opponent, still not getting their commander out. Returning the Weathered Wayfarer to the battlefield straight away with the Abiding Grace. Alright, and into a Mana Confluence, so now time to test our opponent, see if they've got removal for our commander. It will have to be some kind of Edict effect, won't it, which white won't likely offer, because we're going to put Hexproof onto our commander, thanks to the Champion's Helm. Our opponent did top deck into a land there, so managing to play that out. Yoshimaru back into play, followed by a Paladin class, our opponent down to 3 cards in hand. Okay, Fabricate for us means we can get down a 2-drop here if we want to. I think it's best to go Black Blade Reforged though. So let's start to threaten commander damage on our opponent. Best to draw a card here as well, I think, so we will go Slip Through Space, actually. Can save mana here, can't we? Yeah, our opponent's not going to block here, I don't think, so we'll save the mana. We'll get a free Fabricate. Swing in, we could deal some damage, get rid of the Weathered Wayfarer, but they just get it back. That does keep it in a perpetual state of summoning sickness, I suppose, but yeah, we'll go for the Fabricate here. So maybe we go for Hammer of Nazan here. Alright, and we do get our opponent to block here. Yeah, that actually puts us in a good spot now. So if we go for Hammer of Nazan next turn, we'll have our commander at 9 power. Then it'll be 10 Infect power, and Slip Through Space can make it unblockable, so yeah, I think that's alright. The Commander's Plate going on to the Yoshimaru, and out comes Keleth, so Yoshimaru now a 5/5. The Weathered Wayfarer back into play again thanks to the enchantment. We actually don't need to draw into a land here, so could afford to get into something else. It is a Marsh Flats anyway, we'll just drop the Marsh Flats. Hammer of Nazan straight into play. Now we don't even need the +1 from the Tainted Strike, but we will get that anyway. It's the Infect we need more than the buff at this point. So now our commander's indestructible. They can't point Exile at it, and they cannot blow it up with a Wrath, so they'd need something like Farewell. We will go for the Slip Through Space onto our commander. That draws us into a Slip Out the Back. That's really good, so we've got even more protection if we want it. But I think we just win here. So puts our commander on the stack. Instant or sorcery for free. Tainted Strike onto the commander makes it an 11/8. And it wasn't looking too good at the beginning of the game, but luckily our opponent went a little bit slower as well, so yeah, managed to land it on them. A huge mountain of drugs, thank you. Up against a mono blue deck, Arcanis, and we have 2 lands available to us. Do have some decent equipment though, so we will keep on that one. Our opponent starts off with an Ancient Tomb. We have a Force of Will with no blue card in hand. We'll go for the tap land, I think. A Jeweled Lotus, so going to see the Arcanis here on turn 2. See if we can draw into a removal spell. We cannot. That is a Time Warp. Getting into the blue spell, a turn too late, unfortunately. So we'll throw down the Swiftfoot Boots. Holding up mana and wanting to play on our turn, we draw into a Soul Ring, so that won't help us with our commander, but get that down, see if they want to counter it. They do not, so that can be Dolmen Gate, and then throw out the Shadow Spear as well. Hopefully get our commander down next turn. Drawing 3 cards at the end of our turn, of course. Okay, Mox Opal, that'll do. We do have Metalcraft, of course, so throw out the Mox Opal. Throw out the Tetsuo. And I'll be very surprised if they don't have any counter magic here. Tapping down both of their mana, we will go for Force of Will and exile that Time Warp. They draw 3 cards in response, so I assume that they have free counter magic of their own. They don't draw into it though, so we'll protect our commander with the Swiftfoot Boots. And then we can swing in, and I think we're best going for the free Wheel of Fate here. So instants and sorceries. Wheel of Fate for free is going to discard everyone's cards and draw up to 7. Excellent. And, alright, a Black Blade Reforged is good. Can cheat some cost with Magnetic Theft, get double the protection with Commander's Helm. And our opponent discarded 10 cards there. There is a Trick Bind, a Sublime Epiphany, Echo of Eons, which they can do from the bin. Pemin's Aura, probably a combo piece, Cryptic Command, Discontinuity, a Twin Cast, so just loads and loads of generic blue counter stuff. Drawing into 3 cards again with their commander. Now seen Baral, Chief of Compliance. Alright, draw into a Sign in Blood, so let's see if we can land a Champion's Helm here, I think. And then if they want to counter this, it's fine. Alright, a Mana Drain on that means we can land the Black Blade Reforged. They will loot here if they want to. So now we drop the Black Blade Reforged, which should get through, hopefully. We haven't seen any free counter spells yet, and they are holding up priority. Alright, there we go. So gaining control of a non-creature spell. How is this worded? Attach a target equipment to a target creature. That still works for us. So not countering the Black Blade Reforged is going to hurt them here. Magnetic Theft, point that at us, and our Tetsuo. We were going to do that this turn anyway. And that lands, so now got an A8 commander with hexproof. Don't have any big instants and sorceries unfortunately, but yeah, we'll try and slam straight through this Baral. I doubt that they want to block, so it'll just have to be a free Sign in Blood, I think. Obviously point that at ourselves. Gets us into a Night's Whisper, just drawing into the lands now. Okay, they do block with the Baral, surprisingly. 5 cards in their hand, obviously they draw up to 6 here, they get 3 mana from the Mana Drain, and they can draw even more with their commander. A lot of mana being tapped down here, and that is an Omniscience, so depends on the cards in their hand, but could be the end of the game. They get a Seagate Restoration, drew them up to 11 cards, I think that was. Sapphire Medallion doesn't matter when they've got Omniscience in play, Commander Sphere doesn't matter. A Telling Time will get them more card advantage. So might be able to get themselves into a combo here maybe. A Bribery takes a creature away from us. I'm not sure what they'd grab with that, to be honest. Maybe a Solemn Simulacrum or something. Alright, grab themselves a Dalakos. Seal of Removal, bounce a target creature to its owner's hand. As long as we can keep that Swiftfoot Boots, it doesn't matter. Alright, Cyclonic Rift. Now going on to the Swiftfoot Boots, so this might spell the end of us. Alright, Control Magic, and that is against a Grixis deck, so yeah, might not be able to do anything about that. A Mizzix's Mastery for us. I don't think necessarily does anything. We'll go for the Night's Whisper onto ourselves first. Draws us into Galazeth. So we'll drop the City of Brass, and we'll play out the Galazeth as well, I think. And they can obviously go for any counterspells they want here, so that is a Tail's End. And we're pretty much done for here, I think. Omniscience and drawing at least 4 cards a turn. Now casting an Impulse. And a Teferi's Ageless Insight, so that draws them 6 cards with their commander. So we'll play it out a few more turns, but yeah, I would like to see my opponent actually win here, but if it's just going to be a typical Durdle blue deck, then we won't play it out forever. Merchant Scroll is a blue instant straight into hand. They've also got down the Venser's Journal. And another tutor in Mystical Tutor, is that what they just searched up? They searched up a Desertion, so they've got that in hand. Time Twister on top of their library with the Mystical Tutor. And now swinging in at us. We will take commander damage to our own commander, so one more hit from this next turn and we'll be done for. They go for damage straight onto us, so that was 2 additional damage. It's really the commander damage that we're worried about. Okay, seeing a Wheel of Fortune, so let's throw out the Swiftfoot Boots first. They'll likely want to counter that. And there is the desertion. Might as well go Inventor's Fair and go for this wheel. Allowing that to take place, that was a mental misstep, a Dissipate, and a Void Shatter. They just had lands in their hand apart from that. So playing a bunch after the card draw. We drew them into 14 cards there, so Fast Mana, Lightning Greaves, back to basics, a Blightsteel Colossus. Yeah, I think that's it. Brainstorm, Arc, Mage's Charm. Yeah, I mean Omniscience doing Omniscience things here. Then Temporal Fissure after all that, so return a target permanent to its owner's hand, and that is Storm, so we'll just concede there because it's going to take forever to click through it all, but our opponent wins fair and square there. I think they very kindly revealed their hand, like we don't know what they've got in their hand. It's a bunch of control magic and counter magic and all that. Yeah, if we'd kept our Tetsuo for another turn or two, then we would have been alright there. It was pretty much once we didn't land the Champion's Helm, our time was slowly ticking down and really getting down a turn 2, was it? Arcanis. Yeah, that was really what did us in, I think. Tetsuo versus Elsha this time, going up against all the control decks tonight. And yeah, we've got some card draw there, so I can try and get into a 3rd mana. Well, not seeing any blue mana on turn 1. We get into City of Brass, so yeah, just play out a land and pass. Got all of our colours here. Okay, before they counter here, we get into another land is good. Yeah, before they get into another blue mana or untap the mana they have, I'd like to get down the Conqueror's Flail because it would be really, really good to have that in play. So we'll just shock down the Watery Grave. Don't think we need to worry too much about the life that we're taking here because our opponent's not going to be winning too quickly, I wouldn't have thought. A Ponder from our opponent, managing to get themselves into an Izzet Signet, so might see their commander quite soon. Yeah, not getting into any fast mana unfortunately, or any kind of ramp. Let's go for a red and blue mana. And then getting Summoning Sickness away from the Delacoste is a good idea, I think. I'd like to have the Darksteel Plate in play. Does it really matter against a white player though? Yeah, maybe trying to go faster is a good idea. If our opponent has removal, it's probably Swords or Path, and that can get straight through the Darksteel Plate anyway. So best to get down Tetsuo through counter magic there, I think, and next turn we can equip this up so that they can't counter anything we do. And probably drop the Black Blade Reforged after that. Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, is going to Millers, and that gets rid of... it would have been nice to draw into a Swiftfoot Boots and a Mana Crypt. Pretty good mill. Alright, Inventor's Fair. We will not have Metalcraft here. I think we need 3 or more artifacts, gain 1 life, and yeah, we can do the tutor whenever we want. Throw down the Inventor's Fair, and we will equip up the Conjurer's Flail first of all. Then we'll throw out the Black Blade Reforged as well. Now, is our opponent going to combo off really quickly with the Jace in play? Yeah. We could try and outrace our opponent and just land commander damage on them as soon as possible, but I think it's risky leaving a Labman Jace in play, so we'll potentially take some bait here and just do that. Then it can be a free instant or sorcery. Knight's Whisper is 2 mana, the Conqueror's Flail is 2 mana, so we get that for free, draw 2, lose 2, and had a couple of pieces of fast mana on top apparently, so should have waited on the Black Blade Reforged, I suppose. Brainstorm, our opponent seems to be struggling getting into lands unfortunately. Managed to get into one there though, a Flooded Strand, shuffling the cards they didn't want away. Then seeing a Generous Gift onto our commander, that's why I wanted the Darksteel Plate in, but didn't think they'd be getting into a Destroy effect. Put our commander back into the command zone. And our opponent not holding up any mana. I'm assuming they don't have any counters because they keep not tapping down the Izzet. Let's throw down the fast mana, get our commander back into play here. So Tetsuo back into play. We will throw the elephant in at our opponent. Drew into Jeska's Will last turn, by the way. And now seeing a Jeskai Ascendancy. Gaining a life from the Inventor's Fair because we have Metalcraft online now. And they have held up double blue, but they can hold up double blue all they like because Conqueror's Flail goes onto our commander here. And we do manage to bump our commander up to a 7/7. So throw out a land. And we'll go for Jeska's Will first, because we might be able to get out a double striking equipment or something like that. So get 5 blue mana it will be. And we'll exile the top 3 cards. And that gets us into, okay, not double strike, we do get a Chrome Mox. I did play a land, I've done that before during this play session. Should have waited for the Seat of the Synod. Grafted Exoskeleton available to us here, so play out the Grafted Exoskeleton. And then we'll play out the Chrome Mox as well. Chrome Mox can get rid of the Delicos, so that can make Izzet mana for us. The Grafted Exoskeleton goes onto our commander. Don't have quite enough power there to get our opponent. Luckily we did get into a Mox. So the Blackblade Reforged is going to be equipped onto our commander, and that would have made it a 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15 with Infect, thanks to the Grafted Exoskeleton. So yeah, getting our opponent there, thanks to them not having the best of luck, I don't think. They were stuck on mana a little bit and didn't really get the chance to counter any of our stuff. Likely due to the Conqueror's Flail, they at least couldn't play anything during our turn, which an Elsha deck typically likes to do. Anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed this one. I have just released today the Tetsuo Imperial Champion, the first video of 1v1 games, and there were a lot of early scoops on it. So I really just put that out as a tester to see if you all wanted to see it, and got a lot of comments on it. And that is what I look for in a video, is decent views, lots of thumbs up, lots of comments. If you're all interacting with the video, I assume that you're really into the commander. And that's what you did for Tetsuo, so hopefully you all enjoyed this one, decided to revisit it obviously. Be sure to support any of the decks, any of the commanders that you see, like you did with the previous Tetsuo video, and I will be sure to pay attention to that and try to give you all what you would like to see. Huge thank you to the patrons as ever. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.